Let's see. So, on the sole page, if you download the dev diary, it will download a Premiere file. And I can show you what that looks like because I have it here on my USB. So if you download it, it will be in a slightly older format because that's the version of Premiere I have, but you can just update it to the current version. There won't be any problems. I think the main update is the fact that there's a legacy title issue. You will also need a video clip, so you can download that off the sole page as well. And the first thing I have done is I have created inside the main folder for the den, I have created a video file. And inside this video file, I have put the dev diary, and I have also created a bin folder because Premiere likes to call things bins. And these two folders are automatically generated by Premiere, so you don't have to worry about them. And basically in the bin folder, I've put some other bits and pieces, but the key thing is that I put the Doom video in there because I want to be sure that Premiere always knows where those video files are, or where the captures are, or where the audio clips are. And the best way to ensure that is to make sure that it is in a subdirectory from wherever the main Premiere file is. The other thing that I want to be really careful to explain is that this Premiere file is absolutely tiny and does not constitute a video. It is not a video. It is basically a database. If you submit only the Premiere file, then there is nothing for me to assess because there won't be any video content. So please make sure that when you make the submission, it's actually the video, not the Premiere file. Right, okay. So I have opened up Premiere, and it should look a lot like this. And then we need to look at the things that we will need to be teaching. So let's go and have a look at my notes. So the first thing is organizing data. As you can see, I've created a subfolder and a bin folder, and I'm going to make sure that my video is in there. The next thing I want to do is to make sure I know how to import video. And mine is full of clutter on this side, so I'm just going to delete this out. Right. By default, you will have a main sequence and an open title. And I'm just going to save this again. V2. So I don't have to remove the clutter again, and I'm going to save as demo. So over here we can see that there is the name of the project, and there is the existing work. The first thing is a main video sequence, which is this thing over here. So in Premiere you can have multiple video sequences, and you can see that there is an opening title, which is this thing here, which is what happens when the video starts. It comes up with a title. And that's all there is at the moment. So the first thing we want to do is know how to import some video. It's pretty simple. If I open this up and I go to my bin folder and I find my Doom clip, I can just drag and drop it over here. And there it is. There's my MP4. And if I want to add this to the timeline, again I can just click and drag on it, and you can see because this clip has audio, it will be split into two parts. V stands for video, A stands for audio. You can see that I have V1, V2 and V3, you can see that I have already labeled the audio for 1, dubbing, because you will need to provide a voiceover to explain what it is that you're currently showing on the screen. You will need to be able to talk through your level and explain what's going on. You also need to explain what you've changed and what you've enhanced and why you've done it. So I've left the main A1 audio track for dubbing. This means that if you drop video into V1, it may, if it's got audio, it may overwrite the dubbing, so you want to be careful about that. Just stick to V2 and V3, they should be ample. Right, okay, so we have some footage in. So the first thing we need to do is to look at ways of trimming footage, and by trimming what we mean is there will be stuff at the beginning and end that you don't need. So it's quite logical that you want to trim, which basically means cut the stuff at the front and cut the stuff at the back out. In Premiere, all you have to do is to hover the cursor over the beginning or the end of a video clip. So as you can see, let's get to a point in the sketch where we can see something. So this guy comes around the corner and we shoot him. So I want to edit this video all the way up to there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click and drag, and you can see that it will snap to where I currently have my cursor. And you can see now that the video footage that was there before has disappeared. And then I can just click and drag this so that it starts right after the titles. The video format is that it goes from bottom to top, so anything that is at the top overwrites anything at the bottom. We can demonstrate this by just shift dragging this video footage underneath the title, and you can see that the title sticks on over the top of the video footage. That's because the title has transparency in it. Transparency means you can see through it. So obviously I can see through this title to the video footage below. If I did it the other way around, you can see that you can't see the title. Even though there is a title there, it's been overwritten by the video sequence, which doesn't have any alpha. So that's how we can stack footage together. Again, if we want to trim the other end of this, because we only might want a short clip. So let's have a look. Let's just put our snapping back. So there's the dude who comes around the corner, and then there's another dude, and then that's it. That's all I want. So again, I'll go to the other end and just shift and just drag to that, and now I have a clip. So the idea with a video is that you arrange lots and lots of bits of footage. You're going to have quite a bit of footage as you progress through, because you're going to want to demonstrate features, and you don't want your video just to consist of 3 or 4 playthroughs. We're going to need more than that. You're going to need to add explanation. You're going to need to refine particular elements. We don't want to see the whole playthrough again if you just change 1 or 2 things. So you may have multiple videos here, or you may just want to add another section out of an existing video. So again, if I just drag and drop this, I'll get the entire video again, and then I can go to another section, this bit with the acid, and then I can just crop. Let's get, that'll do. So now I have what is an edit, basically. I have one piece of footage there, and then I have another piece of footage here. It's reasonably simple, reasonably intuitive. Right. Okay, the other problem I have with this footage, let's just delete that for the moment, and this may be a reoccurring theme, is lighting. If we can't see the footage, then literally I can't assess it. If you send me a predominantly black video, how am I ever going to assess that video? So you need to be really careful to ensure that there is a reasonable level of brightness and contrast. The idea is not to create a spooky level that no one can see. The idea is that you, as a level designer, need to communicate a level to a team of people. The artists aren't supposed to guess what you mean. The artists are supposed to clearly see what's going on your level. They're responsible for making it look spooky. Right, okay then. So adjusting the brightness for this footage. So there's another panel up here called Effects and Controls. So I currently have this piece of footage selected. You need a piece of footage for it to know what to do. And you can see that there are a bunch of parameters associated with this. I want to add myself an effect for controlling the levels inside this. And the way I can add that effect is by going to this panel that says Effects, and I have to look for Video Effects, and I have to look for Adjustments, and then I have to look for Levels. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click on this, and then I'm going to go back to my library of media, and you can see that it's added a load of level information. Just untick this arrow so that it closes down. Otherwise, you're just going to be bombarded with a long list of information that you don't need. The key thing is to go over to this setup and just click on it. And in this case, you will be presented with the level settings, which in other words is it looks at all of the colors in the frame and gives you a histogram, a bit like as we've discussed when we were looking at presentation in Photoshop. And you can adjust this, the gamma correction of this histogram just by dragging, and you can see that I can make this scene a lot brighter. I can make it readable. You want to make sure that basically you keep a reasonable level of contrast and brightness in the scene. And if I click OK, you can see that this is a lot brighter. It may not still be bright enough. It's quite a dark piece of footage. Gonna adjust that again. A little bit brighter. Let's go to my setup. Okay. So, and if that doesn't fix it, you're probably going to have to go into your level and put some lights in it. And again, I encourage you to think about the presentation. We used a 3-light setup. 3-light setups are very useful because we live in a 3-dimensional space, and therefore you generally want your lights to be lighting in every direction. Right, okay, so we've done adjusting the brightness. Let's go and look at the title. So I already have given a title sequence by default. If you double click on this, it will open up the title sequence editor. I want you to add your name to this. So in order to do that, all we just do is click and drag and you'll get a box. I'm just going to type in student name. I'm going to use this alignment, center alignment, so that I know that the text is in the middle of the box. And I'm also going to align the box in the middle of the frame horizontally. So now you can see that we have a title, and it should convey all the information necessary. If you don't want to put your name, you can put your student ID. But as I will be literally giving you feedback inside the video, it's patently obvious that this is not going to be assessed anonymously. Right, okay, the other thing is that if you, for one reason or another, need to add more titles, the way to do this is to go File, New, and it's now under the phrase Legacy Title. because they have a new titling system, but it's a bit awful, if you want my opinion. If I click on it, it will basically come up with the specification of the width and height. We don't really worry about it. And then the name of the title, and I might put something like Cut 3. Cut 3. And then again, I will be given what sometimes doesn't look like a blank frame, because what it actually does is it actually shows through, which can be a bit confusing at times. You can sit there trying to delete a box that isn't actually there. So make sure that your timeline is in the right place. Yes, I've done it. I've sat there going, why can't I select this? Because it's not in the title. It's in the video. Classic. Right. Okay then, the last thing you will need to do is to dub the audio. Let's see how we're doing. Right. To dub the audio, you're going to need a microphone. I recommend a headset microphone, or you can buy yourself an expensive-ish microphone, or you can go down to the media hatch and you can borrow a USB microphone. And if they won't let you have one, ask for a form, because they'll give you a form, and basically that form says that you have to get a course leader to sign it or a unit leader to sign it, in which case you bring it to me and I sign it, and then you're allowed to borrow a microphone. Right, okay, so I want to be able to dub some audio. Under the preferences, you will find some audio hardware settings, and basically you need to make sure that you have a microphone plugged in and it's set up. So in this case we have a USB microphone. The other thing that you may want to set is, and if I go back to preferences under audio, there is this thing about mute input during the timeline recording, and basically depending on your setup, it means that you could get this weird thing where you hear yourself talking, and it is very, very distracting, so you probably want to turn it off. Right, okay, now this might be a little bit obsolete because I've been playing around with a new version and I don't think it's there anymore, but this bit is. So if we go to the audio clip mixer, on the older versions, and you might have the previous CC version, there is a button that basically says record, and they have now got rid of it. The weird thing is that on the old versions, if you don't press record, it doesn't actually record anything. It needs to know which channel you're recording to, and you have to explicitly set it up. On the newer versions, they've got rid of that, and they now have a keyframe thing. Don't mess with the keyframe thing. It's a completely different thing. Right. The other thing we need to do is we need to make sure that there is a button called Voice over Record. If you don't have that button, you need to right-click on the panel, go to Customize, and you need to drag and drop the button in. So once you have this button, what you can do is you can, if you right-click, there's a thing that says Voice over Record Settings. This allows you to both check the levels of your microphone, and it also allows you to do things like pre-roll, post-roll, and countdown cues, depending on whether you need a cue. Really, I don't think anybody needs cues, because basically you'll be looking at your video and then you'll be making comments. So let's just demonstrate how this works. So I go over here and I go Voice over Record and I go click, and then it will play the video and it will record everything I say. And then when the clip starts, it will sync. So if I go around here and you go, oh, he shoots a guy, and then he picks up the armor, and then he picks up the health. And then I'm going to stop that. And then you can see that it has recorded the audio. Again, if you need to trim the audio because there's some stuff on there you don't want, you can just trim it out. That didn't work. Oh, edit, redo, trim the audio. Thank you, that did work. Obviously, what you'll be talking about in the video is things like the changes you've made. You should be getting feedback from me, and you should be getting feedback from your peers. One of the great exercises is to get somebody to play your level, and then you comment on that afterwards. So you just let them play through. They don't have to say anything. They just play through the level. And then, once they've done that, you can go away, you can take that recording, you can watch it, and then you can talk over as necessary. You can say, yep, okay, he went through the door, he clearly knows how to go through the door. And then he comes up to this other door, and it's locked, and then he starts looking around, and then he finds the pickup, right? So you need to be sitting there and thinking, right, okay, what are these significant things? The door does communicate effectively. Did he find the pickup efficiently? Do you want the pickup to be harder to find or easier to find? Are you teaching the player? Do they get stuck? Right. And there is some brief kind of guidance as to get feedback. Your objective is to be factual in the video. We don't want to hear I like and I don't like, because that's completely subjective, right? What you want to be trying to do is get down to the nitty-gritty of, does somebody know how to get through a level? Is the indications clear? Did they find the pickup? Okay then.